It started on a rainy evening in downtown Chicago. The kind of rain that didn't just fall but lingered, clinging to the air like unfinished thoughts. The streets shimmered under neon reflections, and the soft hum of passing cars blended with a distant echo of sirens. I remember sitting by the window of a quiet cafe, absent-mindedly stirring my coffee long after it had gone cold, watching strangers rush past as if they all had somewhere important to be unlike me. Back then, my life looked perfect from the outside. I was 29, running a fast-growing fintech startup, pulling in more money than I ever imagined growing up in a cramped apartment with peeling paint and overdue bills stacked on the kitchen counter. I had clawed my way out of that life. Late nights, no shortcuts, no handouts. Everything I owned, I earned, and maybe that was my first mistake. Because when you built everything from nothing, you don't always know who loves you for you, and who loves you for what you become. That's when she walked in. Her name was Vanessa. She didn't just enter the cafe. She owned the room the moment she stepped inside. Long black coat, heels clicking softly against the tile floor, droplets of rain clinging to her hair like diamonds. People noticed her. I noticed her. But what caught me off guard wasn't her beauty. It was the way she looked at me, like she already knew me. She approached my table with a small, apologetic smile. "Hey, this might sound weird," she said, her voice soft but confident. "But every other table's taken. Mind if I sit here?" I hesitated for half a second. That half second changed everything. "Sure," I said. And just like that, she sat down across from me, placing her bag gently beside her chair, as if she belonged there. We started talking. At first, it was simple. Small talk, polite questions, harmless laughter. She said she worked in marketing, had just moved to the city, didn't know many people yet. There was something effortless about her, like she knew exactly what to say, exactly when to smile. But what really pulled me in was how she listened. Not the fake kind of listening where people just wait for their turn to talk. No, Vanessa leaned in slightly. Her eyes locked on mine, reacting to every word like it mattered, like I mattered. And for someone who had spent years buried in work, surrounded by people who only saw me as a guy with money, that feeling was addictive. We stayed there for hours. The rain stopped. The cafe emptied. The staff started cleaning around us. And still we talked. Before leaving, she glanced at her phone and sighed softly. "I didn't realize it got so late," she said. "I should probably go." Something in me didn't want the moment to end. "Let me walk you out," I offered. Outside, the air was cool, the streets still wet, reflecting the city lights like a mirror. We stood under the cafe awning for a second, neither of us speaking. Then she smiled. "I'm really glad I sat here tonight," she said. "Me too," I replied. And just before turning away, she added, "Maybe we could do this again." That was the beginning. The first few weeks felt like something out of a movie. Vanessa and I became inseparable. Dinners turned into late-night drives. Casual conversations turned into deep confessions. She told me about her childhood, how she grew up moving from city to city, never really feeling at home anywhere. "I guess I've always been searching for something real," she said one night, her head resting lightly against my shoulder. I believed her. God, I wanted to believe her. For the first time in years, I started slowing down. Work became secondary. Meetings got postponed. My phone stayed face down more often than not. Because Vanessa made me feel something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. But looking back now, there were signs. Small ones at first. The way she casually mentioned money. Never directly asking, just hinting. "Oh, wow, that restaurant looks amazing. I've always wanted to try a place like that." Or, "I've been stressing about rent lately. Moving to a new city is harder than I thought." At the time, it didn't feel manipulative. It felt natural. So I stepped in. Of course I did. I paid for dinners. Then I covered her rent just for a month. Then came shopping trips, gifts, weekend getaways. Each time, she'd hesitate just enough to make it seem like she didn't want to accept. And each time I insisted, because in my mind, that's what you do for someone you care about, right? 3 months in, Vanessa had practically moved into my apartment. It was a luxury high-rise overlooking the city, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern interiors. Everything I once dreamed of having. She fit into that world perfectly. Too perfectly. At first, it felt like we were building a life together. She redecorated parts of the apartment, added her touch, candles, artwork, little details that made the place feel less like a showroom and more like a home. But slowly, things started shifting. She became more comfortable spending my money, then entitled to it. "Babe, I saw this bag today. It's not even that expensive," she'd say casually, showing me something that cost more than most people's monthly salary. Or, "I think we should upgrade the car. I mean, you can afford it." It wasn't a question. It was an expectation. And somehow, I didn't push back. Because every time I felt something was off, she'd pull me right back in. A kiss, a smile, a soft "I love you." Those 3 words, they blinded me. The first ray of all crack appeared on a random Tuesday night. I came home earlier than usual. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. Vanessa wasn't there. I checked my phone. No messages. Strange. She always told me where she was. As I walked into bedroom, something felt off. Her closet door was slightly open. Inside, things were messier than usual, like she had been in a rush. That's when I noticed it. A second phone, hidden behind a stack of clothes. My heart sank. I picked it up slowly, my mind already racing with possibilities I didn't want to believe. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe an old phone, maybe work-related. But then it buzzed. A message lit up the screen. And in that moment, everything changed. The screen lit up in my hand, casting a cold glow across the dim bedroom. A single message. No name, just a number. But the words, they hit like a punch to the chest. "Miss you already. Last night was worth every second. When are you seeing him again?" For a moment, my brain refused to process it. It didn't make sense. Him? Seeing who? My grip tightened around the phone as a strange numbness crept through me. My first instinct was denial. There had to be an explanation. There always is, right? But something deep inside me, something quiet and instinctive, already knew the truth. Still, I unlocked the phone. No password. That alone felt like a trap, like she never expected me to find it. Or worse, like she didn't care if I did. My fingers hesitated for a split second before opening the messages. And just like that, my world shattered. There wasn't just one conversation. There were dozens, different names, different numbers. But one thing remained the same in every thread. Her, Vanessa, the same girl who rested her head on my chest at night, who whispered, "I love you," like it meant everything. She was living a completely different life behind my back. I scrolled slowly, each message hitting harder than the last. "He bought me another necklace today," faced with tears of joy. "I swear he thinks I'm in love with him. Just need a few more weeks. I'll drain him completely." My stomach twisted. Drain him? She wasn't just cheating. She was planning it, calculating it, using me. And the worst part? She wasn't even hiding it from the others. She was bragging, laughing, turning my life, my trust, into some kind of joke. I felt something inside me crack. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like glass breaking under pressure. And in that silence, something changed. The love I had for her didn't disappear, but it turned into something else. Something colder. Something sharper. I don't remember how long I stood there. Minutes, maybe hours. The city lights outside flickered through the window, but I didn't move. I just kept reading, message after message, until one conversation made me stop completely. It was pinned at the top, saved under a name. Derek Redheart. My jaw tightened. I opened it, and what I saw, it wasn't just betrayal. It was strategy. Derek. Did he transfer the money yet? Vanessa. Yeah, rent, shopping, everything. He's obsessed. Derek. Good. Don't mess this up. We need this. Vanessa. Relax. I know exactly what I'm doing. Derek. And after? Vanessa. After I'm done, I'll leave him broke and disappear. I stopped breathing. Read that again. Leave him broke. Not just use me. Destroy me. My chest felt tight, like the air had been sucked out of the room. Everything suddenly made sense. The timing, the subtle pressure, the way she always knew exactly how far to push and when to pull back. This wasn't love. This was a plan. And I was the target. The sound of the front door unlocking snapped me out of it. Vanessa. She was home. For a brief moment, panic rushed through me. I quickly placed the phone back exactly where I found it, my movements controlled, precise. By the time she walked into the bedroom, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring down at my own phone like nothing had happened. "Hey," she said softly, her voice warm, familiar, too familiar. I looked up, and there she was, the same smile, the same eyes, the same girl I thought I knew, except now I could see it, the performance. "Hey," I replied, forcing my voice to stay steady. She walked over, leaning down to kiss me. For the first time, I didn't feel anything. No warmth, no comfort, just awareness. Like I was watching a scene play out instead of living in it. "How was your day?" she asked, slipping off her coat. "Busy," I said simply. She pouted slightly. "You've been working too much again." The irony almost made me laugh, but I didn't. Instead, I studied her, every movement, every expression, trying to figure out what was real and what was fake. "Missed you," she added, sitting beside me, her hand resting on mine. I looked at her hand, then at her, and for the first time, I asked myself a question I should have asked months ago. Who are you really? That night, she fell asleep next to me like nothing was wrong, her breathing slow, peaceful, as if she hadn't just destroyed everything I believed in. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I had two choices: confront her, or play along. If I confronted her now, she'd deny everything, twist the story, turn it back on me. No, that wouldn't work. She thought I was blind. She thought I was easy. She thought she was in control. And for the first time since I met her, I decided to let her keep thinking that. Because the truth was, she wasn't the only one capable of playing a game. Over the next few days, I became someone else. On the outside, nothing changed. I was still the same guy, attentive, generous. In love, I smiled. I laughed. I kissed her goodnight. But inside, I was watching, learning, preparing. I started noticing everything. The way she'd text late at night when she thought I was asleep. The sudden girls' nights that never quite made sense. The way she checked herself in the mirror before leaving, like she was meeting someone important. I didn't say a word. I didn't question her. I just let it happen. Because every lie she told, every move she made was another piece of the puzzle. And I was putting it all together. One evening, she walked into the living room with a bright smile. "Babe," she said excitedly, "I've been thinking. Here we go." I looked up from my laptop. "Yeah, I think it's time we take things to the next level." My chest tightened slightly. "Next level?" I asked. She nodded, sitting beside me. "Yeah, like building something together, maybe investing, expanding your business, but with me involved too." There it was. Not love, not commitment, opportunity. I tilted my head slightly, pretending to consider it. "What do you have in mind?" Her eyes lit up, and as she started explaining her ideas, I realized something chilling. She wasn't just trying to take my money anymore. She was trying to get access to everything. And that's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to walk away quietly. No, if she wanted game, I'd give her one. But I'd make sure I was the one who wrote the ending. From that moment on, everything became a game, not the kind you play for fun. The kind where one wrong move costs you everything. And Vanessa? She had no idea the rules had changed. The next morning felt eerily normal. Sunlight spilled to the massive glass windows, painting the apartment in soft gold. Vanessa stood in the kitchen, humming quietly as she made coffee. Barefoot, relaxed, like she owned the place, like she owned me. I watched her from a distance, leaning against the hallway wall. It was strange. Just days ago, the scene would have felt comforting, warm, real. Now, it felt like I was watching a stranger rehearse a role she had perfected. "Why are you staring at me like that?" she teased, glancing over her shoulder with a playful smile. I forced a small laugh. Can't I admire my girlfriend? She smirked, clearly pleased. You better. Girlfriend. The word echoed differently now, but I didn't react. I couldn't. Not yet. Over the next week, I played my part perfectly. If anything, I became better. More attentive, more generous, more trusting. Exactly what she wanted. And just like I expected, she leaned in harder. Her requests became bolder. Her confidence grew. Because, in her mind, I was completely under her control. One evening, she sat next to me on the couch, unusually affectionate. Her fingers traced slow circles on my arm. Her voice softer than usual. Babe, can I ask you something? There it was again. I turned to her, pretending curiosity. Of course. She hesitated, just enough to make it seem real. I've been thinking about what we talked about, building something together. I nodded slowly. Yeah. She took a deep breath. I want to be more involved in your finances. Not just spending, but managing, helping you grow it. There it was. Not a suggestion. A move. A calculated step forward. I stayed quiet for a moment, letting the tension build. Then I leaned back slightly, as if considering it seriously. That's a big step, I said. I know, she replied quickly. But I'm serious about us. About our future. Our future. The same girl planning to leave me broke was now talking about building a life together. The audacity was almost impressive. That night, after she fell asleep, I made my first real move. I didn't confront her. I didn't argue. Instead, I picked up my phone and called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Ethan Cole, a forensic accountant and one of the sharpest minds I knew. He answered on the third ring. Well, this is unexpected, he said. Didn't think you remembered I exist. I need your help, I said, my voice low. A pause. Then his tone changed. What kind of help? I stared at Vanessa sleeping beside me. The kind where someone's trying to rob me and doesn't know I've caught them. Silence. Then, all right, he said calmly. Now I'm interested. The next few days were all about preparation. Careful, quiet, precise. Ethan helped me dig deeper, not just into my finances, but into hers. And what we found, it was worse than I imagined. Vanessa wasn't just running a scam on me. She had done this before. Different cities, different men, same pattern. Find someone successful, gain their trust, slowly gain financial access, drain them, disappear, start over. She wasn't impulsive. She was professional. And Derek? He wasn't just some random guy. He was her partner. Maybe more. They worked together, planned everything together. And right now, I was their biggest target yet. Here's the thing. Ethan said during one of our calls, she's not going to stop unless you force her to. I know, I replied. So what's your move? I looked out at the city skyline, my reflection faint in the glass. I let her think she's winning. And then my jaw tightened. Then I take everything back. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Vanessa approached me one night, excitement barely contained. You're not going to believe this, she said, practically bouncing onto the couch. I raised an eyebrow. What happened? I found an investment opportunity, she said quickly. High return, low risk. It's perfect. Of course it is. I leaned forward slightly. Tell me. She launched into her pitch. Confident, convincing, well-rehearsed. Too well-rehearsed. Every detail sounded polished, planned, scripted. And I realized something chilling. This wasn't just her idea. This was their plan. Derek's and hers. I really think we should move fast on this, she added. But for it to work, I'd need access. There it was, the moment she'd been building toward. Full access, not just spending. Control. I stayed silent for a few seconds, letting her feel the weight of the moment. Then I nodded. Okay. Her eyes widened slightly. Really? Yeah, I said calmly. If we're building something together, I trust you. For a split second, just a fraction, something flashed across her face. Surprise. Then satisfaction. And just like that, she thought she had won. That night, she celebrated. Extra affectionate, extra loving, like she had just secured her future. But what she didn't know was that I had just secured hers, because the account I gave her access to, it wasn't my main account. It wasn't even close. It was a controlled environment. Every transaction monitored, every move tracked, a setup, and she walked into it perfectly. The next few days were almost surreal. Vanessa dove in headfirst, moving money, making decisions, acting like she was in control. Meanwhile, Ethan and I watched everything. Every click, every transfer, every connection. And then, it happened. A large transfer request. Bigger than anything before. Destination? An offshore account. Under a name I didn't recognize. But Ethan did. That's him, he said. Derek. Yeah, Ethan replied. She's not just testing you anymore, she's executing. I stared at the screen, my reflection staring back at me. This was it. The moment. The line she couldn't come back from. She thinks this is the end game, Ethan added. I shook my head slowly. No, I said quietly. This is where it starts. Because what Vanessa didn't realize was that every move she made, every dollar she tried to take, was building the case against her. And soon, very soon, I was going to flip the entire game. By the time Vanessa made that transfer, the trap was already closed. She just didn't know it yet. It happened late at night. The apartment was quiet, the city outside glowing in soft blues and golds. Vanessa sat on the couch with her laptop, her face lit by the screen, completely focused. I stood in the kitchen, pretending to scroll through my phone, but my eyes never left her. Every second felt stretched, heavy, like the air itself was waiting. Then, I did it, she said suddenly, her voice calm, but there was excitement underneath it. I looked up, playing my part. Did what? She turned the laptop slightly toward me, a small smile on her lips. The investment. Everything's in motion now. Everything. I nodded slowly, as if I trusted her completely. But inside, I felt nothing. No anger. No panic. Just clarity. Minutes later, she stood up, walking toward me with that same familiar softness. The same act. Her arms wrapped around my neck, her body leaning into mine. You believe in me, right? She whispered. I looked into her eyes, and for the first time, I didn't see love. I saw calculation. I do, I said quietly. And that was the moment she lost. The next morning changed everything. Vanessa woke up before me. At least, she thought she did. I lay still, eyes closed, listening as she slipped out of bed quietly. Her footsteps were light, careful, sneaky. A few seconds later, I heard it, the soft click of her hidden phone turning on. Then whispers, barely audible, but enough. I sent it. Yeah, everything, she said. A pause, then a small laugh. No, he has no idea. I told you, he trusts me. My jaw tightened, but I didn't move, didn't react. I just listened. Give it a day or two, she continued. Then I'm gone. Gone. Just like that. Months of lies. Moments that felt real. All reduced to a timeline. A plan. An exit. When she hung up, she walked back into the bedroom like nothing had happened. Slipped back into bed. Curled up next to me. Her hand resting lightly on my chest. Like she belonged there. Like she hadn't just confirmed everything. But this time, I was ready. By noon, everything was in place. Ethan had already flagged the transfer, tracked the destination, confirmed Derek's identity, and more importantly, frozen the transaction, not reversed, not canceled, frozen, suspended in a legal gray zone, just long enough. Now comes the fun part, Ethan said over the phone. I looked out at the skyline, the same view that once felt like success, now feeling like a battlefield. She thinks the money's gone, I said. Exactly, he replied, which means she's about to make her next move, and we'll be waiting. That evening, Vanessa was different. Subtle, but different. Lighter, more relaxed, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. She dressed up more than usual, checked herself in the mirror twice. then turned to me with a smile. "I'm going out tonight," she said casually. "Girls' night." "Of course." I nodded. "Have fun." She walked over, kissed me softly. "I won't be late." Lie. But I smiled anyway. "Take your time." The moment she walked out, I moved. No hesitation. No second thoughts. I grabbed my keys and followed. The city at night felt alive in a different way. Darker, sharper, every streetlight casting long shadows, every passing car reflecting off wet pavement. I kept my distance. Watched as she stepped out of her ride in front of a sleek downtown hotel. Not a bar, not a club, a hotel. That told me everything. She walked inside confidently, like she'd done this before, because she had. I followed a minute later, keeping my head low. The lobby was quiet, polished, expensive, and there, near the elevators, I saw him, Derek. He looked exactly like I imagined, well-dressed, confident, the kind of guy who thought he was always the smartest person in the room. Vanessa walked straight up to him. No hesitation, no guilt. He smiled. She smiled back. And then they hugged, not like strangers, not like business partners, like something more, something real. I felt something twist inside me. Not pain, not heartbreak, just confirmation. I watched from a distance as they talked, laughing quietly. Then Derek handed her something, an envelope, thick, heavy, money, or documents. Either way, proof. That's when I stepped forward, slow, calm, controlled. "Vanessa." The moment my voice cut through the air, everything froze. She turned, and for the first time since I met her, I saw it, real emotion, shock, pure, unfiltered shock. Her face went pale. "Why you?" she stammered. Derek looked between us, confused. "What's going on?" I stepped closer, my eyes locked on hers. "You forgot one thing," I said quietly. Her lips parted slightly. "What?" I tilted my head. "You thought I was stupid." Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Derek's expression hardened. "Who the hell is this guy?" I looked at him. "The guy you've been trying to rob." Vanessa's breathing became uneven. No, I can explain." "Don't." I cut her off. My voice wasn't loud, but it didn't need to be. "I know everything." Her eyes widened. Everything. The word hit her like a bullet. "The message is," I continued, "the plan, the transfers. Derek." I gestured slightly toward him. "All of it." Derek took a step back, his confidence slipping. "You said he didn't know." He snapped at her. I thought." "You thought wrong," I said. Vanessa looked at me now, desperation replacing arrogance. "Please, just listen to me." "No," I said coldly. "You listened to yourself long enough." I reached into my pocket, pulling out my phone, tapped the screen once, then turned it toward them. A single notification displayed. Transfer. Suspended. Her eyes locked onto it. Confusion. Then realization. Then fear. "The money," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "Never left." The silence that followed was deafening. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The world around us kept moving. The elevator doors opened and closed. Distant conversations echoed through the lobby. But inside that moment, everything felt frozen. Vanessa stood there, staring at my phone like it had just rewritten her reality. "The money," she whispered again, her voice barely holding together. I slipped my phone back into my pocket. "It was never yours to take." Derek's expression darkened instantly. "What do you mean suspended?" He snapped, stepping closer. "Where's the money?" I looked at him calmly. "Exactly where it should be." His jaw clenched. "You think this is a joke?" "No," I said, my voice steady, controlled. "But I do think you underestimated me." Vanessa turned toward Derek, panic now fully visible. "I didn't know," she said quickly. "I swear I thought—" "You thought he was an idiot?" Derek cut her off harshly. The shift between them was instant. No more teamwork. No more quiet coordination. Now it was blame. Cracks forming in real time. I watched them, not with anger, not with satisfaction, but with a strange sense of distance, like I had already moved on, and they were just catching up. You planned this together, I said, breaking the tension, city to city, person to person. Same story, different victims. Vanessa's eyes snapped back to me. How? How do you know that? I exhaled slowly. Because I stopped believing you and started looking. I took a step closer, not aggressively, not emotionally, just enough to make sure every word landed exactly where it needed to. You weren't careful, I continued. Patterns repeat. People talk. Records exist. Derek shifted uncomfortably. Vanessa's breathing grew uneven, and for the first time, they realized this wasn't just about one failed scam. This was bigger. I have everything, I said quietly. Their eyes locked onto mine. Messages, transfers, identities, locations. I let that sink in, enough to make sure neither of you ever does this again. Vanessa's face crumbled, not dramatically, not loudly, but slowly, like something inside her finally gave up. Please, she whispered, stepping toward me. Don't do this. There it was. Not love, not regret, fear. Don't do what? I asked calmly. Expose us, ruin us, please, she said, her voice shaking now. We can fix this. I can fix this. I almost smiled. Fix. That word again. As if everything she did was just a mistake. As if it could all be undone. You already made your choice, I said, her eyes filled with tears. But even now, I couldn't tell if they were real. Derek, on the other hand, wasn't pleading. He was calculating. Angry. You think you've won, he said, his voice low. You froze one transfer. That doesn't make you untouchable. I turned to him. No, I said, but it makes me prepared. I pulled out my phone again, tapped once, then looked at both of them. This conversation? I said, recorded. Derek froze. Vanessa's breath caught, and everything leading up to it? I added, documented. That's when it hit them. Fully. This wasn't just revenge. This was consequence. You go to the police, Vanessa started, her voice breaking, and it's over for us. I held her gaze. It was over the moment you decided to use me. Silence fell again, heavier this time. Final. But then, something unexpected happened. Vanessa stepped forward. Not desperate, not manipulative, just quiet. I know I don't deserve this, she said softly. But just answer me one thing. I didn't respond, but I didn't walk away either. Her eyes searched mine. Was any of it real? For a brief moment, time slowed. Every memory flashed through my mind. The cafe, the late nights, the laughter, the way she looked at me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. And for the first time since all this started, I told the truth. For me, I said quietly, it was... Her face broke completely. Not the control cracks from before. This time, it was real. But for you, I continued. I shook my head slightly. I don't think you ever gave yourself a chance. She looked down, unable to meet my eyes anymore. And in that moment, I realized something important. This wasn't about destroying her. She had already done that to herself. I stepped back, creating distance, ending it. I'm not going to the police, I said finally. Both of them looked up, shocked. But don't misunderstand, I added quickly. This isn't mercy. Derek frowned. Then what is it? I looked at him. It's a lesson. I turned back to Vanessa. The accounts you had access to? I said, closed. Her eyes widened. The cards, I continued, blocked. Her breathing stopped. The apartment? I added calmly. Not yours. Everything she had built here, gone. Overnight. You wanted to leave me broke. I said, my voice steady. A pause. I just beat you to it. The weight of those words hit harder than anything else. Because this time, there was no coming back. I turned and started walking toward the exit. No drama. No anger. No need. Behind me, I heard nothing. No footsteps. No voices. Just silence. Outside, the cool night air hit my face. The city looked the same. But I didn't feel the same. For months, I thought I had found something real, something worth slowing down for, something worth trusting. But sometimes the biggest lessons don't come from love. They come from betrayal. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through missed calls, messages, business notifications, life moving forward, waiting for me to catch up. And this time, I was ready because I didn't lose anything that night. I didn't lose money. I didn't lose time. I didn't even lose her. I lost an illusion. And in its place, I found something far more valuable: clarity.